Hurricane Genevieve reaches Category 4 status. Hurricane Genevieve has now intensified to a monstrous Category 4 hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale. The position is 13.9 degrees north and 110.3 degrees west for the hurricane at this current moment. We currently have it at 140 miles per hour, 947 millibars, and is moving west-northwest 212 degrees at 14 miles per hour. The latest time is at Manzanillo, 16 o'clock or 4 p.m. in Central Standard Time. The wind fields currently look like this, with 130 nautical miles to the northwest, 140 nautical miles to the northeast, 170 nautical miles to the southeast, and 90 nautical miles to the southwest. The distances in kilometers for Genevieve is a 540 from Isla Socorro, 856 from Manzanillo, 998 from Cabo San Lucas, and 1,159 from Acapulco. And in miles, it's 335, 532, 620, and 720 respectively for all of the distances. There are no current warnings or watches in place for this storm, as it is fully out to sea, so the National Hurricane Center have not put any current warnings or watches on for Hurricane Genevieve at this current moment, and potentially there won't be any. The likelihood of there being warnings is quite low, so hopefully no need to be worrying about warnings or watches for the hurricane. So the primary hazard for Hurricane Genevieve is rip currents. Rip currents are the primary hazard for Hurricane Genevieve. No land areas will likely be affected by any rip currents, but ships and small boats could be affected when crossing the Pacific Ocean. Also highly unlikely. Rip currents not particularly will be causing too much of a hazard to boats. So the NHC forecast cone looks like this. As you can see, it remains a major all the way up until 11 p.m. on Tuesday, when it will then drop back down to a hurricane and then once again lose its intensity down to a tropical storm. So it is very much closing on its peak for the hurricane and will drop off in the coming days after, most likely, Monday. So, sea surface temperatures for Genevieve looks like this. There isn't any numbers on the screen to show how hot, but the red would signify close to 30 degrees Celsius, the orange would be around the 28 degrees, and then the yellow around 26. So you can see around the storm it is very, very good sea surface temperatures for the storm to continue to intensify at this current time before it will then drop off. All the sea surface temperatures are good for the storm's development at this current time. So on the multi-model diagnostic comparisons, you can see that a lot of the models have it intensifying up to the 27th, 28th of July and then dropping down. The GFS is considerably lower than the OCL, however, that is the current trend for Genevieve. The deep layer shear drops and increases, but aside from the HFSA, all of the models basically follow the same trend there. And obviously the track models and the sea surface temperature models are very, very consistent across the board. It will be taking a west-northwest path. So the precipitation forecast looks like this. As you can see, the precipitation drops off quite quickly after reaching roughly between 12 and 24 inches, as you can see there, as the storm intensifies. And once it then loses its intensity, it drops further down from between about 2 to 0.5 inches roughly of precipitation. The simulation, just to show how the storm satellite most likely will be looking further on, it shows it intensifying slightly there and then dropping off relatively slowly as it gets further west-northwest. And then you can see there it opens up and decreases in intensity later on at the end of July going into early August. The ocean heat content for the storm looks like this. So you can see the graph down the bottom and the numbers along the bottom. the ocean heat content remains around average for the path that the storm will be taking, around between 15 to 35, and will drop off quite considerably as the storm moves further west-northwest. So that will be it for the commentary of the update. We will now showcase some various satellite imagery of Hurricane Genevieve, as you can see here is visible, going through various satellite imageries to showcase the storm as it is.